Dante Greco.
Dante is a really smart guy.
Ladies love Dante.
Look at that head of hair. Look at that face. What's your name? Casey.
Dante Greco.
Dante was me, yours truly.
I'm gonna come.
Dante, the way you edited he's got this great YouTube show, and it literally is my favorite show on YouTube.
Thank you.
Besides an auditor or two.
My only request is if you could use the mic for my show.
Oh yeah, my bad, dude.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. There's no one watching
So
my show yet.
What I'm doing is I'm reading the comments from our live. I want to stay engaged with them.
Let's do it.
So and I'll have a mic. So I got my hands full, and I'm on the Dante Greco show.
Huge.
And it is my favorite YouTube show, and I'll tell you why. The commentary, the analysis, the up-to-date current event that you cover, it keeps me up to date. It keeps me abreast, if you will, of, the news.
I learned something in our 10 years at TMZ. I learned something about the news and what people want to talk about. So, that's what we do here. Basically, my show is a little bit more of like your classic news commentary show. I play clips. I bring up articles and stuff like that. So, we're going to do a little bit of that, but we're also going to walk around. We're going to have a good time. We're just going to hang. Today's kind of like a hang.
It's a hang. It's a hang for sure. And we'll get to your guys' questions. We're going to take as many questions as possible. So, but when the time is appropriate.
When the time's appropriate.
We're going to get to a few things first. We're going to do a recap of last night's BET Awards, the live stream event of the year so far. It was fantastic. And I just want to thank everybody for coming out. And, the support was amazing. And it was just a great night. And there's so many interviews that I have to edit from that, and so many, I got trespassed.
Yeah. Tell me about that. So you were at the Ritz-Carlton.
I was
where the people, where the guests were showing up for the BET Awards.
There was a lady who first confronted me for filming Shuki's car. We are in Shuki's studio right now. He is a colleague and a friend.
People who watch the Dante Greco show, you've seen a couple interviews with Shuki. He's fun. He's a colorful character. He's a great guy.
Hey, can we mute Matt? He just said boring. Can we mute him? I'm good on this dude. Seriously.
Come on, Matt.
Jeez, Matt.
Switch over to my YouTube feed.
The trolls need to contain themselves. Before you're about to put it, I know they probably get this overwhelming urge to say something negative.
Yeah.
Just try to cease that.
All trolls come to the Dante Greco show YouTube feed and you can troll there. Okay. That way it's the best of both worlds.
Right. Thank you, Wig Splitter. He got muted.
Good man. Wig Splitter. We love Wig Splitter.
So anyway, we want to keep the positive energy. So anyway, just to recap, this woman, I was filming Shuki's car, and she said, "You cannot film other people's cars." And I was like, "What are you talking about, lady? Relax. This is my friend's car." 2 hours later, I'm inside the J.O.E. Marriott lobby, and NLE Choppa is being mobbed by fans, autographers, and I'm a documentarian.
Right.
I'm documenting the scene. I'm not in it. I'm not instigating. I'm not antagonizing. This situation would have occurred with or without my presence.
Right.
And this woman had the audacity to come up to me when I'm about 50 feet away from this gentleman, NLE Choppa. Very handsome guy, by the way. He's a good-looking dude. You know? And she claimed she was trespassing me, and I had a little bit of a back and forth with her because I'm wondering, does she have the authority to trespass?
Was she a security guard? Who is she? There's always these try-hard security guards and stuff like that. You don't understand, when we have to go out and get content, there's always people who want to insert themselves in and try to be a hero unnecessarily. They don't realize it's a major media event. It's the BET Awards happening right in the middle of downtown. There's tons of people around there, and they single you out because you're holding a camera.
Yes,
or
exactly.
A phone.
Yeah, and she claimed, because she said, it's because you're recording 24/7.
Oh.
That's what her. And I said, what are you talking? And I stood my ground, but there was a gentleman that was the Black Pee Wee Herman. And so he was dressed like Pee Wee, and he's a rapper, and that's his shtick, and he's a real nice guy.
How old is the Black Pee Wee Herman?
I like 30.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and great guy. He was kind of like angelic. He came in and he kind of calmed me down, and he said, "Don't let the negative energy, bother your night. You're the man. He was having a great time. So I interviewed him, and it kind of like stopped the confrontation, but he was cool. And yeah, so that was that. And then I got some DMs this morning with like somebody like wanted to make a t-shirt of this lady's. So it's like when you're streaming live, and we had 7,000 people watching, there's instant accountability. There were people who were viewing who made phone calls to the J.W. Marriott. So it's like, you have to,
That's right. You can't just kick Joe out. People care. People don't want you getting in the way of that. They see some injustice being done, and they're going to interrupt you. By the way, shout out to Chris Does Stuff 3. Thank you. You just subbed. Appreciate you.
Yeah. So
good man.
So go, if you guys can, please follow the Dante Greco show on TikTok. We want to get him to also go live. He was one of the greatest TMZ producers in history. We both spent exactly 10 years there, pretty much. I was 10 and a half years.
Yeah, I was about 10 and a half years.
We're exactly,
But I started a year after you, so we didn't quite completely overlap, but it was.
And he made it a whole year after me. So
this is a telethon, folks.
We
I got to get up to 1,000 followers on TikTok so I could start going live too. Because, you regular viewers of the Joy of Everything, I know what you tune in for. Joe, he's out there. He's talking to people. He's showing you interesting stuff. It's fantastic. I just want to be there with him. That's all.
And Dante also got me drinking Celsius.
Celsius, yeah, it's the best. I mean, look, I don't know how safe it is. Who knows in 20 years when the studies come out what it will have done to my insides, but it's the only energy drink that I find actually gets me up. It gets me going.
Yeah, and so today, since I'm on the Dante Greco show, I am enjoying the Celsius. Usually I'm fueled by iced tea. I like Gold Peak. I like green tea. Okay. You guys know. But yeah, anyway, so
I need more. I'm worn out from years in the battlefields of the content battlefields of TMZ. I need that Celsius, but I understand. You're probably making a healthier choice. So
it is terrible for you. Anyway, how's the audio out there on my stream? Is the audio decent? Can you guys hear okay? Someone said there was an echo, but if there's an echo, we're just gonna have to roll with it.
We're trying something a little bit different to start off the show. We're going to see how this goes. It's all very experimental today. We're trying to figure out how to deliver the best content.
All right, let me try something real quick.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Oh, shit. Oh, that didn't help.
Uh-oh.
All right, so a little bit of echo. I tried to, let me see it. Hold this for a second.
Please. Yeah, I mean, if that works, if you want to pick up the phone and move it around too, that's fine too. So who'd you run into at the BET Awards last night? Was there any kind of, I know at the end of, the night, people have been drinking, they've been partying, sometimes stuff pops off. Any craziness?
No. And I like to cut off like around 10, 10:30. Because when people are drunk and drinking, that's when the kind of crazy stuff happens.
Yeah.
And I want Dante to tell a story about when he covered, was it BET Awards weekend?
Are you talking about when I almost got shot for the second time?
Yeah.
And then got let go a few months later?
Exactly. Yes.
No, this was the Super Bowl, the weekend of the Super Bowl last year. It was party. Justin Bieber gave a concert at the Pacific Design Center, and then he went over to the Nightingale. No, it wasn't the Nightingale. It's the Nice Guy on La Cienega. A lot of people show up. Kodak Black eventually shows up with a big crowd of people. They can't get in. Next thing you know, fight breaks out. I start filming because at TMZ, it's like, oh, great. Fight. Perfect headline. Fight breaks out at Justin Bieber after party. Then the fight escalates to some gunshots going off. And the weird thing is, Joe, you think that you're going to just immediately take off running, but it took a minute to kind of process it. I was listening like, oh, those are gunshots. And then they just kept going. And that's when I took off running.
Wow. Down
a cul-de-sac. So I realized there was no way out. It was a scary, scary situation. A couple people got hit, actually. They're okay, but they did, or I mean, as far as I know, I don't.
Now, how close? One second, real quick. Let me. There we go. How close were you to the, the gun.
I was on one corner of a sidewalk, and then right across the street, that's where it happened, on the other corner.
Yeah.
And the only thing that calmed me down was I took off running, and I thought, well, it's not a mass shooter just shooting indiscriminately. Like, this is clearly they're trying to get someone. Not great, but better for me in terms of they're not like targeting just the crowd or anything like that.
Do you know what caused the dispute?
I forget what caused the dispute. I don't know if we ever found out or if anyone was actually arrested for it. I just know Kodak Black got hit in the leg. It was funny too, because, well, it wasn't funny, but because I forgot to mention, I'm watching the fight break out, and I'm like, oh, great, just like any old fight, perfect. And then I see Kodak Black in his sideshow Bob haircut, kind of like bobbing and throwing punches at people and stuff like that. And then he got hit. Everyone scrambled, and for a little while, it was touch and go. We didn't know if Kodak Black had made it. I just done a very nice interview with him about the Super Bowl. He was going to be in a box. I don't know if it was the Rock Nation box, but he was going to be in somebody's box the next day. And poor guy, he was rooting for the Bengals. Funny. So, poor guy got a double hit. The Bengals lost, and, he had to spend the night in the hospital.
That's one thing. So Dante and I, we both worked day crew. So TMZ had 2 units. They had a night crew and a day crew. And essentially you had your beat. So we're kind of like cops. We're like field producers, but we had our beat like cops. And we would respond to celebrity news and, interviews and stuff. But Dante and I had the pleasure of working days.
Right.
And so that was a lot safer. And, there is an element of danger.
The later, like you were saying, the later you stay out, doesn't matter where, any club in Hollywood, any event, it could be a Wednesday, stuff happens because people are tired, they're aggravated, they're intoxicated, and then the guns come out.
Yeah.
Like I said, that was the second time in 3 months that I had almost gotten hit. Prior to that, I showed up to a Tiana Taylor after party around Halloween. Some club in Hollywood. I'm pulling up to try to get an interview with Tiana Taylor. And then as I'm pulling up, the car in front of me starts letting off shots, or somebody's letting off shots there. I guess they tried to rob a girl, steal her purse. Somebody got pistol whipped. Luckily, no one got hit with a bullet, but it was just insane. And by the way, that, my own safety aside, that's not even the worst. There were guys who saw like actual, murders and things like that over the years, working the night shift. I'm telling you, the night shift is like the worst. You think it's bad to work a night shift at like, any old store or restaurant or something like that. And it is, unsafe as well. I'm not trying to denigrate what anyone else does. I'm just saying, when you have to be there in the thick of it, when that's your job to be there where everything's going on, it amplifies the danger, certainly.
Yeah. Well, safety first, right?
That's right.
Over to getting the shot. That's the name of the game.
Well, you know what the sad thing was? I fled the Tiana Taylor thing, and the same thing with the Kodak Black thing. I ran away, and then I felt a duty to go back and get some coverage.
Oh man,
so
like a serial killer. Back to the scene.
I went back to the scene of the crime. Both times I went back, and you know what? I gave him a great story. I got B-roll. I snapped into news reporter mode. I got B-roll, I got footage, I got pictures, I got the whole thing. I called it in. We broke the story. It was just, it was crazy.
So so Justin Bieber, that was Justin Bieber's party at the Kodak Black.
Yeah.
I wanted to revert back. Everybody asks about Bieber, like what's Bieber like? And I have a lot of stories about Bieber. Dante has a very interesting story about Bieber. The one about
my face.
Your face. Yeah. If you could tell that one,
yeah.
I would love.
I mean, first of all, get a good look in my face. Not the best face, but it's a decent face. I've stayed relatively young looking despite certain lifestyle choices. But, it was a day when Bieber had just had enough. This is when he was living at the Montage in Beverly Hills. And guys were following him around all day long, asking him questions. He was clearly annoyed. A different TMZ guy had been questioning him and was getting nowhere. So they called me and they said, hey, maybe you can try to get something out of him. Okay. I didn't feel exactly great about that, but it's the job. So I show up, I start talking to him. I ask him a question, which I thought was legitimate. This is around the time when, prior to Trump's inauguration.
Yeah.
And people were saying, hey, look, they can't get anybody to show up and perform. You know, you're Canadian. I don't know if you have a dog in the fight. Would you consider maybe performing there? There was a story that he might have been offered something by the RNC to perform at the inauguration. And he starts going, why are you asking me those stupid questions? I said, well, what are you talking about? I mean, it's legit. I explained my reasoning. And he's like, you just asked some really stupid questions. And I'm like trying to get something going with him. And he's like, what's wrong with your face, bro? I said, I don't know. What's wrong? Is my eyes, my nose? What? I don't know. He goes, it's just the look on your face of like desperation or something like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, some guys might have taken offense and tried to like work it into a thing or get a lawsuit or something. But you know what? I had to consider it. I thought I probably do look very weird and desperate right now. Coming up to him at the end of the day, he doesn't want to talk to anybody. And here I am going, Justin, would you mind performing at the Trump inauguration? You know, this is back when like Trump was like persona non grata, even more so than, you know, whatever. So he said that, of course, on the show the next day. They made a whole big funny bit out of it. They posted the story. It was great, but like I didn't get mad, you know.
Yeah, and Bieber said it wasn't the symmetry. He goes, your face is perfectly symmetrical.
Right.
And but he said, what's wrong with your face, dude? And that was the way he posed, you know, the way he said it was just like, Bieber's a little, you know, what a jerk, you know?
It was a little rude.
Yeah, it was rude. But your question was perfectly fine. And I think he should have said, look, I don't want to answer political questions.
Yeah.
You know, like asking me a Trump question that's a little too controversial right now. You know, it's a little too polarizing, you know, instead of being a stupid question. But yeah, Bieber's he's quite the character. He could be in a bad mood. Like he's in a bad mood a lot.
Moody, yeah.
More often than not, he's in a bad mood.
But you know what? I empathize with Bieber a little bit. You know, all day, every day, everywhere he goes, he has a caravan of paparazzi following him, and I'm sure it gets exhausting. You know, and he I don't think he wants to perform anymore. I don't think he wants to have a career anymore. He's kind of done it. He's exhausted. He's got his money. Now he's got his wife. He just wishes people would leave him alone a little bit. So, you know, I never really got upset when Bieber was blowing us off because, like, yeah, it's just like imagine everywhere you went, people were just like, Justin.
Yeah, no, it's got to drive you crazy.
Yeah,
and it lumps us into a category like us as field producers. It put us in the same category as people who are literally following him around all day. When we were at TMZ, we never followed anybody. We never had to tail anybody. We would just be at the same locations they were. And, you know, there would be an element of voyeurism.
Yeah.
But like last night, Ice Spice, okay? You guys, if you guys were on the stream last night, and I posted the video this morning, Ice Spice was inundated with a mob of people, mostly photo opportunists. There weren't graphers. There was a few graphers, autograph people, but these were photo op people. Mm-hmm. And there was like 40 of them. And there was 3 or 4 gentlemen in particular who were incredibly aggressive to the point where they were knocking over the bodyguards to get to her for a selfie. And I've never actually seen that aggressive. And so if you're inundated like that all the time, yeah, your tension is going to be high. And, you know, you might as well move to Palos Verdes, you know, because it's not going to get any better. But like,
yeah, I mean, that is true too. Like you can move somewhere where it's not economically feasible for guys to try and just hang out all day to get your picture. You can do it. Right. You don't have to live in the middle of Beverly Hills.
Right.
You know.
You know, he's there. Yeah, he was in Beverly Hills every day out and driving the most expensive, most, you know, beautiful cars.
No, those guys with the picture takers and autographers, you know, no offense, but some of them, there's some nice, decent guys, but some of them are just so like rabid dogs. They won't just shoving pictures and stuff in the people's faces with no decorum. It's insane.
Well, I scolded a few of them last night, and people saw it because the first time they broke through a barrier. Offset came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Okay. And Offset, we're in the garage. And the BET Awards, they're already, LA Live, that whole area, they were already giving us amazing access, okay? They were allowing us in the parking structure. There was a barricade where they went through before they got to the red carpet, and it was a big black fence.
Right.
And so Offset comes in, and he goes through the fence, and these guys broke through the fence to follow Offset. And I got so upset because they're going to ruin it for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, what are you guys doing? What's wrong? You know, what's wrong with you guys?
Quick question. Was Offset with Cardi?
No.
Because the rumors are that, you know, there's a little bit of a cheating scandal going on
Little,
in the world of Offset and Cardi. Shuki, put your whole face in there. Don't just.
What's up, Los Angeles?
We're with the star right here, the star of the show.
This was the man.
Shuki Diamonds.
Oh, you guys are the star. We're all a star. You know, I mean, without you, I can't do it, you know?
We're down here at the
what's up,
Shuki
Los
store.
Angeles? What's up, world? Yo, we miss you guys. You know, one by one, there is enough room for everybody. Come on over. We're giving away nice clothes. We're giving away good deals. Come on by.
Yeah, if you
How
guys
come-
are around,
how come-
come on down to Shuki International.
Why did you get snubbed at the BET Awards last night? I know you didn't pick up any awards last night. What happened?
Well, I kept the Shuki Award. Are you crazy? I was with the Best Show Award. You know, he gave me the medallion. You know what I mean? We did it crazy. We were all over. You know, we did it big. You know, we are on award. Me, you, him.
You were up for best album, and I don't think you didn't win, to my knowledge, right?
Shuki Diamond always win. It's independent. You gotta understand. I don't need them to give it to me. God already gave it to me. Let me put my grill so.
Please, please, my God,
Now,
please.
last night, Shuki had all his cars out in front of the Ritz. You had major rappers, Moneybag Yo, Yo Gotti, every Yo in the book. They were rolling through, and Shuki was out there posted up with his entourage, with us, and it was a great night last night.
Killed
Shuk.
it last night, huh?
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, for my viewers, by the way, go check out the Joy of Everything on TikTok, and you will get to see not only that, but like all the great content that Joe puts out. But like especially last night, it was incredible. I wish I could have been there. You know where I was? I was seeing Asteroid City with my fiance. I will never make that mistake again. To sit through a Wes Anderson movie, no offense, but Jesus,
What happened to Wes Anderson?
I
it
don't
used to be
know.
tolerable.
it's not my
Like the Royal Tenenbaums was like a decent.
Yeah,
rocket?
yeah,
Great
I
film.
just can't do it
I know, I
anymore,
know. A
right?
little too-
Right, Shuk?
Everything you say is right. I know we gotta get the audience to appear and give us more rating, more craziness. Tell everybody.
So
Yo.
Asteroid City, no, it was a no-go, huh?
Shuki Diamond, baby. We're doing it right.
Can we see the Can
Okay.
we see the grill? Shuk, can you get?
This is the flawless grill.
Wow.
Shuki Diamond, flawless diamond.
We're having
Now,
so
last
much
night I
fun
was
here.
fantasizing about getting a. I would rock a grill.
Oh,
Would you
that
rock
would
a
be
grill,
best.
Dante?
That would be so.
I mean, if it was free.
Listen, you're so rich. The company will write the check. to you.
Right, exactly,
Shuki
exactly.
Diamond provides.
I've never been a grill guy. I don't know. I would look like Paul Wall with a grill.
I don't think so. I
Me
think you'd
either.
have your own thing.
Me either, but you know what? It's think it's cool to show people that we're doing everything to make the world, you know, believe that we have the fashion in our hand and we can do it. You know what I mean? Like you see right now, I feel like I'm rapping. You know, look at the finger. Look, Shuki Diamond. You know what I mean? It's original. You know what I mean? If you ain't Shuki, you must be a rookie. You know what I mean? Look, they didn't want me to be a rapper. I made my own self rapper. So I made the grill, I made the finger, and I'm a rapper. You know what I mean? Self-made rapper. You know, and the same thing, designer. We got to do it. You know,
He is one of the most exciting designers out there right now. That is true. You got to come down to the store and see some of his designs. It's incredible, and you get a free something if you come down here.
Shirts, free.
Mention the Dante
shirts.
Greco show or the Joy of Everything.
Yeah, come by. You know what I mean? We have things that are
You
very,
you can wear Shuki's grill for 15 minutes,
Oh shit! No.
fresh out of his mouth.
She's got to be a hot girl, maybe.
Somebody are
50
asking.
diamonds.
I think we should have a freestyle one of these days where we bust some freestyles and flows.
Oh yeah.
and have some music.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it
Sick.
right
Yeah.
now. Hey, you know what? Bring the audience. Tell them to come to the next show, and we do the freestyle, and we give them lunch. We give them, you know, the good stuff.
Yeah, come on down to 12th and Main here downtown LA, Shuki International Studios.
We're putting
we're going to be giving a tour of the studios, following the podcast here and the Dante Greco show. Like I said, guys, give Dante Greco a follow on TikTok. We want this man to be able to go live. So,
please.
His show on YouTube is phenomenal, and subscribe on YouTube.
The only way they'll let my family go is if I can get enough subscribers to go live.
Yeah.
No, this is a message going out though to all creatives. This is a studio. It's a creative studio. It's art. It's fashion. It's music. It's podcasting. It's everywhere. It's the new place to be. The Shuki International Store, 12th and Main.
Yeah.
Downtown LA.
All the influencer, everybody out there want to come to do live broadcasting. We give you everything, all equipment, all the studio, and the good stuff. Come on over. Check us out. You guys won't be disappointed. It's
Should
cool.
we take questions from viewers?
Let's do that.
All right, we're gonna take some questions from viewers.
Is it with me or without me?
Keep them appropriate.
If
guys.
it's for
Keep
you,
'em appropriate.
come back in.
Okay.
We'll call you back in.
Any questions you have about TMZ, about celebrities?
Yeah, we're doing an AMA today.
Yeah, like I said, Dante and I spent 10 years. We gave a quarter of our lives.
Any celebrity you can think of, we probably have a story about interviewing them or being in their presence.
So Angie asked, why did we leave TMZ?
Well, as Ronald Reagan said about the Democratic Party, we didn't leave TMZ. TMZ left us.
That's true.
It was just, we'd been there 10 years. I think they wanted some new blood, a new way of doing things. I don't know. And you know what? Like in a lot of ways, it worked out better because we couldn't do anything else.
We couldn't even post on social media
Yeah.
celebrity content. I mean, you could just post a picture of your lunch. I mean, we were under contract and we couldn't create content outside of TMZ.
I missed the social media content revolution. I'm not complaining because I had a nice paycheck every week, but like in terms of building up a fan base and all that and building up your own brand, it was
Okay, so Annie B asked, did Dante work Christmas Day too?
I sure did. As a matter of fact, for years, I was the Christmas Day daytime guy because everyone else they would request it off early. My whole family lived in LA basically. So I was always like, all right, I'd rather, if someone's got to leave town to go home for Christmas, I'm cool with that. And eventually they kind of relaxed a little bit and started giving us the holidays off. But that was only in the last couple of years. But I worked many a Christmas. But luckily, it was a day shift. And I wasn't. I could still go to the family parties in the evening. So
I worked every major holiday. I mean, every major holiday. I never requested stuff off because I just valued working, and I just valued having a job so much. It was like I didn't want to ruffle feathers. I just did what and worked every single holiday. Only the field worked these holidays. The rest of the office, they had major holidays off. But God forbid, Tom Arnold was, dressed like Santa at a pumpkin patch,
Right. The worst was, it was one Thanksgiving when Halle Berry's ex-husband, Olivier Martinez, punched her new man, Gabriel Aubry, in the face, and he had to go to Cedars-Sinai. And so I had to go and sit there outside the hospital all day long on Thanksgiving until I barely made it to my family party in the evening, hoping to get a glimpse of this guy's beaten face.
So there's two questions. I want to get to both of them. Where in LA do you suggest no one go to visit? And also what any celebrity you almost had a fist fight with? So let's we'll talk about the fist fight first.
Okay.
I came toe to toe with Mel Gibson. Mel was coming at me, but I'm bigger than Mel Gibson. I'm taller than Mel Gibson. I'm like 6'2". Mel's about 5'10". And so if you look up TMZ Mel Gibson Malibu, you'll see pictures of me and him squaring off. I did talk him down because he didn't want a piece of this.
Right.
I'd pick him apart. I'd pick Braveheart apart. But that was the closest I ever got. And I've told this many times, Caitlyn Jenner did assault me. She hit me with her purse.
God damn.
How about you, Dante?
I never really got close enough to a fist fight. Like the most aggressive celebrities were usually like Busta Rhymes. He just always was angry. He showed up to the opening of Tao nightclub in Hollywood. There's a lot of media there. And yet you try to ask him a question and get some footage going in, which the owners would like. They're inviting you there so that it can be talked about and bring publicity to the place. And he's just like got his security guards waving their flashlights. and yelling, and like he's yelling, and it's just like, dude, calm down. No one even cares that much about the soundbite. I'm just doing it so that my bosses don't say, why didn't you shoot Busta Rhymes going in? Because every other camera guy did.
Right.
And then I used to do a lot of the court stuff. So what I would have to do is, when Chris Brown was dealing with one of his many legal troubles and he was locked up, I would have to go in and set up a tripod in the court and then film the case. And then as soon as the case was done, immediately put it down, turn off the audio and all that, because there were very strict rules about recording anything other than the case you were supposed to be there for. And then I would have to bundle up my whole tripod and everything and run out and then get in the elevator with the celeb and share an uncomfortable ride down to try to get a soundbite with them coming out. Except this time, Chris Brown, he used to have this big bodyguard guy. And I kept trying to run in, and he was just like pushing me. I would run in. It was like a cartoon. Like I would try to run in the elevator. He'd shove me back out. I did it 3 or 4 times. Of course, I never tried to raise fists because I always understood the game. I was like, look, it's not personal. They don't care. They don't know who I am. They just don't want the coverage. So, you know, I stayed out of the elevator. I missed the shot that day, but that was probably the closest.
Did you get in the elevator with anybody?
2 Chainz. I got in one time and he was just looking at me like, so man, what are you, what's up? So it was so weird.
Me, Dante, and a man named J.O.E were pretty much the 3 major court producers.
Right.
We covered a lot of high profile court cases inside and outside the courtroom. And there was an era where TMZ was the authority on major network coverage of court cases.
That's right.
We would get there and we'd have CNN, you know, local KTLA, KABC, national Fox, you know, syndicates they're covering, and they were all looking at us because we were the authority on, you know, celebrity court coverage.
Right.
And so we were often inside and out. And like Dante said, they'd only have one of us there, and maybe sometimes 2, but some days
as the years went on, they thought just send one guy, make him cover every entrance and exit, go in, get the film it, go out, get the shot.
Yeah, you had to do everything. You would film inside, and then you'd follow the celebrity out to get their exits. And one time I was literally forced to get in the elevator with Halle Berry.
Oh man.
And it was insane.
She hates
so uncomfortable. I didn't want to do it, but there was a producer there who made me do it.
Yeah.
Like, you know who, I'm not going to name names, but you know who this person is.
I'm sure I do.
Yeah. And they said, I'll just say they, I'm not even going to give a sex of the person. They said, get in the elevator with them. I'm like, what? So I got in the elevator with Halle Berry, and I was just like, I mean, the look on my face was probably like, I'm really sorry that I have to do this, but I'm going to follow you to your car.
It's the face Justin Bieber saw when he, went off on me.
Yeah.
So that was always uncomfortable, but
guys, it's not a bruise. It's a birthmark. It's a birthmark. It's not a bruise. Somebody said, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
they thought that was from a fist fight.
Right. Exactly. So, a viewer asked, let's get to the question. Where would you suggest people don't go in LA?
Don't go.
Yeah.
The Shuki International store on 12th and Main. No. I wouldn't go, to the generally agreed upon dangerous parts of town.
Right.
If you Google them, I don't want to call anybody out specifically because,
Yeah. I would say, don't stay at the Cecil Hotel.
Right.
Don't stay at the Cecil.
I mean, look, if you're looking to see celebrities, you want to just hang out in Beverly Hills or West Hollywood. That's your best chance. Everywhere else, you could pretty much say don't go. Even though they might be a nice area, you might see someone pop up in Brentwood but like, don't go to Westwood. You're not going to see anybody there unless it's a movie premiere. Don't go to Venice now because it's a little unsafe with the fentanyl epidemic and all that. Yeah.
You think so? I found Venice to be actually. I think Venice has improved.
I'll be honest. I haven't been there, I'm just going on what I'm reading.
No, Venice has improved, and I'll tell you why. Like during the pandemic, Venice was unrecognizable. Okay, because there was this lawless kind of nature of LA.
Yeah.
In 2020, and they've really cleaned it up. Like the homeless situation is not even close to what it was.
That's great.
The boardwalk is clean. And Venice has the cleanest public bathrooms. And I showed them on my live. The public bathrooms at Venice are constantly being cleaned.
No way.
And they have soap, and it's unbelievable. There's so much soap in each dispenser. It's insane. So go down to Venice and check it out. It has changed dramatically.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. Someone says LA is a complete joke anywhere you go. Well, where do you live, bud? Like, where do you live? Like, LA is my lady. Like Frank Sinatra said, LA is my lady. It's going to be okay, guys. It's going to be all right out there.
It's not that bad. Look, when you
bad.
read about LA in the news, which I do, it sounds like you walk out of your house, you're going to get killed. But it's really only pockets, freeway underpass here, an area that's not so populated there. For the most part, it's not the living hellscape that the media makes it out to be.
Okay, so they're asking, this is a good question for you, Dante. As now independent, would you be allowed to cover the Trump court proceedings? And I know you have a take on this.
I mean, I don't know, first of all, the laws in Florida. Like in New York, you can't bring a camera inside to film in the courtroom. That's just the law. So theoretically, I could apply for it, but then you got to think they're most likely not going to get me in there to cover it because I'm a small outlet and they probably have only so many spaces. But I could stand outside and try to get something,
Yeah.
It's tough, though. When Trump is around, I remember I only saw Trump twice. Once in Nashville when he was running for president, and I was living there at the time because I'd been covering TMZ in Nashville, and I went over to check it out. I thought it was like a novelty, like Trump for president. Who knew it was going to be the next 8 years of our life? No offense. I'm not trying to make a political judgment, but I went there and I was very close to him. And then, but I wasn't working for TMZ at the time, so I didn't put my camera up to ask any questions. I was like firmly not trying to do that. And then another time in Beverly Hills, he showed up to the montage where Justin Bieber used to live, and you just couldn't get close. Like I could see him in the motorcade pulling into the garage, but it's just such a scene out there that if you're trying to actually get a question out or anything like that, it's not worth it.
Well, you're dealing with the most famous person in the world at that time.
Yeah.
Trump was the most famous person in the world.
Yeah.
And I remember I got sent to cover Trump's speech on the USS whatever in San Pedro, and he did a campaign rally. And so he gave one question to each reporter on the way in and one question to each reporter inside. And for some reason, I had full access to the whole boat.
Wow.
And I was following Trump around the whole time. And it was, I wish I would have been live streaming to see Trump backstage. And he was actually kind of nice. I mean, he was nice.
Joe, how are you?
I'm not making a political statement by saying Trump is nice, but I'm just saying at this point in time, he was being very benevolent and he was handing out hats to people. He had hats and he was physically doing the handing out. And
that was the greatest time in the world for getting stories because it was such a hot topic that you could just go up to anybody and be like, what do you think about what Trump did?
Right.
And then they'd probably run it.
That was a whole era of TMZ that we could probably do a whole entire book on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In terms of how editorially things were approached through our organization, but that's a story for a different time.
Yeah. I mean, we've gotten some, I remember in the 2020 cycle, I was right up there on stage with Elizabeth Warren. And then the day after Biden got the nomination, he gave a speech at the W in Westwood with then Mayor Eric Garcetti. And I was right there in the room. I didn't get to ask any questions, and this was also when COVID was breaking out. And Garcetti was like, there's nothing to worry about. You can keep going to your games. You can keep doing this and that. Who knew?
Someone asked a very fascinating question, and I think we can touch on some of this because it is public. A lot of stuff isn't public, for public consumption.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Forget everything we've said today.
So someone asked, was there any juicy footage that you had to scrap because it was too much for TV? And that reminds me of the Bieber thing. I don't know if we want to talk about that, but that actually became a public story.
Are you talking about the Bieber, not footage that we captured? You're talking about that secret footage that got. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what our ability to speak on that is. I would suggest Googling Bieber TMZ scandal video or something to get the whole story.
That one. But I think we can. You know why? Because they did, once the footage was released in 2016. They did TMZ did make a public statement as to why they didn't publish it.
Right.
Because there was some footage leaked that wasn't necessarily supposed to, and
would have been quite damaging to Justin's
Yeah,
career. They
yeah.
held it, because he was a teenager.
But I will say this: Suge Knight made me delete. That's the only time I ever had to delete anything. Suge Knight made me delete an interview. That's the only time, and I was not held at gunpoint, but Suge Knight, I was listening to, I was like, okay, you want to delete this, Suge? Sure, buddy. Like,
Yeah.
I'm good.
You got to think of yourself, think of your family. I'm trying to think of anything that there were probably a couple times when people asked to delete something, but I couldn't, because I would have gotten caught for that, and the result, the consequences for me would have been much worse.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but if I think of something, I'll
When we
yell it out.
filmed stuff, we had to keep it. I mean, you had to, no matter what, so because anything, and then
Yeah,
it was
freelancers will do that. I heard a story about a guy who got a shot at Chris Brown coming out of court or coming out of jail or something, and Chris Brown was like, "I'm gonna make you a rich man today." And when he left court, he gave the guy like $4,000 to delete it. So,
jeez,
yeah,
wow, yeah. I got Chris Brown coming out of court once, and he was really intoxicated.
coming out of court.
Yeah,
How was he intoxicated?
he was very
between leaving court and
intoxicated,
getting in the
dude.
elevator and coming down. He got intoxicated.
I was worried about him because
Yeah.
anyway, that's a long story, but
I have a question coming in here on my show. It says, "Who is the most beautiful actress in person you've seen?" Feel free.
two of them, Nicole Kidman and Jennifer Aniston. Those two were just glowing. But last night we saw a lot of beautiful people, but those two come to mind. When I saw them in person, I was like, I was taken aback.
I'm trying to think at TMZ. I mean, I remember years ago, I used to work for a ballet company when I was home from going to Oxford and getting my Rhodes Scholarship during the summer. And I would work for a ballet company. And then it was at the Banksy party. I don't know if you've ever seen the Banksy documentary where Exit Through the Gift Shop.
I've never seen it, but I know of it.
There's a scene where it like culminates with a big party with a pink elephant and all that. I was working there, and I'm running back to the cars, and I get a guy calls me over to give me a tip. I run up. It's Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, who were at the time together. Gave me a 20, by the way. It was very nice. And I got a nice up close look at Angelina, and she looked very, very beautiful. Very,
Nice.
Yeah. She lived up to the hype.
Phenomenal. When I saw Nicole Kidman, she looked like an alien.
Yeah.
It was like a beautiful, like, I don't know. It was bizarre. She's super tall too. And this was a long time ago. This was a while ago. This is before I was at TMZ.
Yeah.
And so same with Jennifer Aniston. I never saw Jennifer Aniston when I was at TMZ. But someone said Charlize there. And I saw Charlize walk into Thai restaurant on Sunset with Sean Penn one day.
Yeah.
And I was scared of Sean Penn, so I didn't cover it.
Didn't he? What was that? You were just like sitting in an alley one time or something in your car?
I had just got done shooting like Tara Reid or somebody, who loved it. She would sit there and give you 20 minutes, and then they would scrap the video. And I was walking back to my car just through the Country Mart. I had the camera in my hand, and I just sensed, how you sense someone looking at you?
Yeah.
And I'm just walking, minding my own business, and I had the camera in my hand. And I look over, and Sean Penn is in his Nissan Titan. It is a beat up car, like super beat up. And he had a Carhartt. Like it's like you're not a cowboy. You're Spicoli. You're a Hollywood elite. You're not a cowboy. I know you want to like be this grunge, rock guy. And he was fuming. His face looked like a party favor. He was like, and he was flipping me off, and he was yelling at the top of his lungs, "F you, you piece of crap," And I'm like, dude. And I got upset. So I turned the camera on, and I started filming him. So
Right. Sure.
Yeah, he's a bizarre guy. I'm not a fan. With his fake,
This cowboy persona. It's
Yeah,
like, hey,
exactly.
Sean, what happened to all that money that was donated to Haiti that you were involved in? Let's talk about that.
Right. Let's see. What do you guys think about Britney Spears? That's very interesting. Let's talk about the current Britney Spears situation.
Okay.
What do you think's going on? There's a huge thing on TikTok about her her videos being deep faked. You know,
I think it was the right decision to let her off the conservatorship, but that doesn't mean that she's of totally sound mind. She clearly, I don't know why Sam Ashgari can't just pull her aside and say, hey, how about like instead of filming from above and putting on like the darkest black eyeliner you can and making it look like these hostage videos that are just being sent out across the dark web when you dance, how about like, you know, call in some of those makeup artists and directors that you used to work with on videos and make it look a little more glamorous, because it doesn't, but like, again, she should still have control over her life. She shouldn't have her father and other people deciding what she can do with her money and what she's allowed to do and doing all kind of weird tests on her and stuff like that. But it's like she's clearly a little bit traumatized. I think she's a little bit damaged still from the whole experience. So I don't know that those are deep fakes. I think that's a little bit too generous. I think that's just her.
okay.
She's
Well,
doing that.
Someone said they need to do a welfare check on her. Would you?
You know, I think they did this to her or somebody else in the last year. I'm against like the public calling welfare checks on celebrities just because you never know what's really going on. But
Yeah.
I think she's okay. She's just alone. Like, I don't know who she feels she can trust, who in her life she can talk to. I don't even know if she could trust Sam.
I don't trust Sam Ashgari.
Yeah,
I don't
remember,
trust him.
I got him.
I don't buy it.
I got him coming out of his workout studio one day, and I ran up and I put the camera on and I'm like, hey, so tell me, Brittany's gonna be acting in a movie or something? And he's like, what? Oh, you mean my baby, Brittany? Yeah, she's gonna be acting and all that. It's just the whole thing seems so phony to me.
Yeah. I like the question. If you could change if you were running TMZ, what changes would you make?
Honestly, we lobbied for this for years. They should, and we're not saying this just because for our own gain, they should have done some kind of like reality show or something about the camera guys, because the perception of, now we weren't paparazzi. We were a step above that. We had a lot more complicated job, but I could see how people might categorize us in that way if they're just doing a cursory glance at what we do. But the perception of paparazzi that people see, like I just watched this Black Mirror episode. Like it looks horrible. Just rabid animal, Walking Dead, trying to get any shot of you and all that kind of stuff. It looks really bad. If they had put the cameras on us, and not just us, the other guys that were working there, it would have totally changed the whole thing. And people would have enjoyed talking to us even sooner. Because over the years, we noticed a change in the way that the celebrities allowed us to approach them and how enthused they would be when we would come up. Once they realized that, hey, this is a great vehicle for promotion and for talking and for being seen and showing some of my personality, people started to like it when we came up.
Yeah. I totally agree. That would be the big change, is to brand and to actually get, to credit each producer with their material. And, maybe even partial ownership of our videos, because we were the ones single-handedly, getting these stories.
Right.
No one gave us questions. No one wrote our questions or told us what to do ever. Like we had very rare assignments where we had specialized questions, but that was rare. And one time I went in the office and I was about to cover so I walk into the office and I had to get a live view, because we were doing I was covering the presidential debates at the Reagan Library in Simi Valley. And this was a major event. And so we had partial access. And so Diana, our former boss, she said, go ask Harvey what questions you should ask Donald Trump. And so I was like, really? So I had to go into Harvey's office, and he was hanging out. He had a couch, and he was just sprawled back on his couch, like this. He was sitting like this, dude. You ever see him sit like that?
I did.
He'd be on the couch like this, hanging out. And that's cool, It was his place. He was running the show, so do what you want, bro. Make yourself at home.
Sure.
Harv. And so I said, hey, Harvey, what questions should I ask Trump. And I walked right in, and he said, "Why are you asking me that? It's your job. You're the field producer. Get out of here." And I'm like, I went back to Diana. I'm like, what did you make me do that for? Why are you making me go in the, you know? So there was all kinds of weird political stuff like that I had to deal with. You know, like I didn't want to go ask Harvey, but I was forced to by my supervisor. We have some more questions. So there's a lot of questions. Sorry, you guys. Trying to get to as many as possible here.
One other question from my channel is who's the most handsome actor then that we've seen?
Okay, that's a good question. You go first.
Honestly, I think it was the guy from Entourage,
Adrian
Grenier.
Okay,
I don't know. Something about him.
Nice. Okay, he was glowing.
He was glowing.
There were several. I think that. Well, someone said Rob Lowe, definitely a good-looking guy.
Rob Lowe, yeah, he's a cool guy.
He's actually starting to show his age a little bit, which is fine. He's probably 60. You know.
God, you know what was so annoying was DiCaprio.
Yeah.
With his he puts on a hat, he puts on glasses, he puts on a mask, then he puts a hoodie over the hat.
Yeah.
Then he goes from one door to the other door, back to the other door, to the other door to leave. And it's like, dude, instead of this 45-minute drawn out exit, you could have just walked out and gotten in your car and been gone.
Yeah. Yeah. DiCaprio looks like Jack Nicholson, in my opinion. I don't think he's very, very, he was a cute guy in the Romeo and Juliet, but I don't think he's like a
problem with DiCaprio is he never outgrew his boyish voice. So he's 48 years old or whatever, but he still sounds like a young guy. He's got kind of that Arrested Development thing going on.
Yeah.
So I think it's hampered. I mean, look, he's up there. He's one of the greats, but he's definitely a step below the Pacino, De Niro, Nicholson level.
Yeah.
And I think his voice has prevented him from quite achieving that. He's not exactly the manliest.
Yeah. Now, a couple of the handsome guys, Denzel's a handsome guy, and Keanu Reeves, of course. I've never seen Ben Affleck in person, so I can't comment on that. But there's a lot of guys with leading men qualities, and those are a few. John Hamm is not a very friendly guy, though, guys.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, no. Let's see. Lots of questions, guys. Really, these are great questions. Did celebrities tend to like you or dislike you?
Like I was saying before, a lot of them liked us, especially the camera guys and daytime camera guys, because we would come up, we would kind of just be in Beverly Hills or Malibu or West Hollywood where their shop. But the way I look at it is that's the playing field. Beverly Hills, West Hollywood, Malibu. If you show up there to the hot restaurants and the stores, you know that you're coming and that we're going to be there. We know you're going to be there. We show up, we do our business, we go our separate ways. It's like a friendly, grudging respect type of thing. And a lot of people liked us because we weren't trying to, because we wanted to get a good interaction with them. So we were trying to be friendly, trying to be charming, trying to ask them something that was fun for the most part, unless it was a news assignment. And then, like any reporter, you're going up to ask the hard questions. People aren't going to be that happy to see you.
Yeah. So they're asking, have we developed any relationships with celebrities besides Gary Busey?
Yeah. I mean, there's celebrity. I wouldn't call any of them friends necessarily. I know some guys have developed some real friendships with the celebs, and it makes you wonder what's wrong with those celebs.
Right. Exactly.
There's people, like comedians, I'll see Tiffany Haddish because I used to interview her a lot. Every year at the Laugh Factory, they do this Thanksgiving free giveaway for people that are, homeless or just don't have anywhere to go on Thanksgiving. So she was always there. I would interview her, Jeff Ross. I'll see David Spade a little bit. Although sometimes if too much time goes by, I feel like some of them forget who you are.
Right.
Yeah.
For me, it was the round table in Malibu. And there was a round table. I used to sit with the Kiwanis Club. And there was just old men in Malibu. It was Ozzie Silna, who was a billionaire owner of the St. Louis Spirit. The NBA was contracted, and he had a perpetuity of a lifetime. It was the biggest sports deal in history. I used to sit with him and Dick Van Dyke, so I do consider Dick Van Dyke a friend. Outside of Busey, it was Dean Cain. Dean Cain, I consider not friend, but I have a lot of numbers in my phone. Like Clint Howard, I befriended. Ron Howard's brother would call me, and he got a lot of negativity because he supported Trump. So he used to call and talk about that. And then Louis Lombardi, I consider him a friend. He was on Sopranos.
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, it was just my early days in Santa Monica. I used to see him every morning. I just sit and have coffee with him. Yeah, those are a few, So
So you want to talk about the horror of what happened to poor Dick Butkus?
Dick Butkus. Oh man, we could talk about that. All right, so
This was the
yeah.
yeah. Okay, go ahead.
All right, so Dick Butkus is a Chicago legend, sports figure, one of the
Football.
considered one of the greatest football players in history. If you look on a list, he's like in every top 10 list. And I grew up in a household. My grandfather was a football player, and in Chicago, Dick Butkus is the man. So I developed not a friendship, but a trust with Dick Butkus, and he gave me a great interview. The interview was about CTE, the brain injury, and with the passing, the suicide of Junior Seau, and so many stories. Concussion had just been released, the Will Smith movie,
Right.
and I'm interviewing Dick Butkus. And he told me it's not about the helmets, because I said, the NFL are designing new helmets. He goes, you could have a Bentley on your head, but if you don't work your neck muscles, then it's not going to matter. He goes, we used to train our neck muscles for that specific purpose, and the new NFL players, they don't do that. So I was like, great interview, awesome. I'm like, that's amazing. But TMZ didn't care for it that much. They didn't even talk about that aspect. So instead, on the TV show, they just made fun of his name, Dick Butkus or Butkiss. And everybody was making fun of it. It became this thing in the show. And of course, I'm upset because I wanted the actual hard news soundbite.
Yeah.
I'm
And
an
by the way,
esteemed journalist.
This was before TMZ Sports. So if TMZ Sports had been around, they definitely would have run with your storyline.
Right. Yes, they would have. And shout out Evan Rosenblum. But anyway, the next time I saw Dick Butkus, he goes, I said, hey, Dick, whatever. I was going to ask him a question. I was real excited to see him, whatever. I didn't know he saw the clip. He said, I don't watch your show, but I think it's pathetic that you guys would make fun of my name like that. I heard from a lot of friends, and it just really upsets me that I gave you my time out here, and you're just going to make fun of my name. He had a point. And it wasn't my fault, but he blamed me.
Football Dick. That was the problem. We would go out there and try to build up relationships and be friendly to people and get what we thought were great sound bites. And then they would go in and on the show, look, I get it. They're trying to make a fun, entertaining show, and it could be funny. They would just be like, hey, Dick.
Yeah.
Dick Butkus, and then next time you see him, Dick Butkus, football legend, hates you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I became like the laughing stock of my neighborhood in Chicago.
Right. You can't go back there anymore because of what happened. No.
Yeah, exactly.
But that used to happen to me too. Like I got an interview with Akon talking about the overdose of the guy from The Wire.
Oh yeah, the guy who had the scar.
And we had Michael K. Williams.
Yeah.
So I get a nice interview. It's like solemn and serious. And like he just happened to make one comment about, poor people don't know what it's like to be rich and the problems that rich people have. This is on the fly. He hasn't thought out exactly the most like succinct statement to explain his position. So he says it, and that's what they pull out. And then he gets into a bunch of trouble. Then next time I see him, I'm like, hey, I'm really sorry. Like I wasn't trying to do that. I was just trying to get the interview. Can I ask you about this other thing? And he's like, all right, man. And then they did it again.
Oh.
They pulled out some quote from the interview that was not representative of the whole, and they made it like even worse. It was like, Akon, like I'd vote for Trump a third time or something crazy. And then
and that's the beauty of having our own platforms.
Yeah.
That won't happen ever again.
That's right.
It won't ever happen again. Someone had a great question, and I want to thank the moderators for pinning the good questions. You guys are doing great. I did see that last question. Worst assignment you've ever had? That's a great question because there were so many.
God.
There were so many bad assignments, tough assignments.
Anything outside of a hospital, anytime, and I used to be the assignment guy. So I could never, for a year and a half, I couldn't sleep comfortably because I would get a call at like 5 a.m. Like, where are you? Get up and get down to the courthouse right now. It's like I couldn't even brush my teeth. I'd have to like get rushed down, hop out of bed.
Dante and I used to live on Hollywood Boulevard around the same time, and he
Yeah.
probably lived like 3 blocks down. And I remember seeing Dante at like 5 in the morning at Starbucks. We're like, here we go again, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we didn't work together a lot. Because we're all individuals. We had our own unique assignments throughout the day, So
Yeah.
we really never really, if we ran into each other in the field, it was either coincidental or it was a big assignment.
One of the ones I didn't really enjoy that much was the Kobe Bryant helicopter crash.
Oh my God.
So
Yeah,
I was the only guy on that morning. It was a Sunday morning, and I'm waiting outside the SLS hotel on La Cienega because somebody's going to be there. And, it's like a calm day. I think it's not going to be that hard. And then I get a call like, you need to go out to Calabasas right now. And you have to hike up a hill and like find this helicopter crash. And I'm like thinking like, holy shit, no one knows about this yet. Like I have to go find the wreckage. Are you kidding me? And so I drove out there. While I was driving out there, the story broke. And by the time I got there, like police had already set up tape and you couldn't get close enough, but you could see it just up on the hill. It wasn't even like a tall mountain. It was just a little hill in Calabasas. And, there was just like the outpouring of emotion. I mean, I'm from LA. Kobe used to live near me. I would see him at like Panda Express and a big Laker fan, of course. So like you're dealing with all of that, just dealing with your own personal fandom and experience while also having to keep the reporter hat on and trying to get footage. And then to top it all off, there's no signal out there. So I could barely send back anything that I'm getting. It was kind of a dark, depressing day.
Yeah, those were the darkest times, like covering deaths.
And then the worst part was, everyone turned around and basically blamed TMZ for Kobe's death for a few days.
Yeah.
Even friends were like, you piece of
Yeah.
but how dare you work for that? Like,
no, we covered a lot of celebrity deaths. All the deaths that happened in LA from 2011 to 2022, we covered them. I mean, Whitney Houston, the list goes on and on. I mean, there was a lot that happened.
Yeah.
But, and we were always first on the scene.
I spent the night in so many morgues waiting till they closed down so that I could then go and get some footage of the no, I'm just kidding. That would be too much.
Yeah,
we had some limits.
I was at the morgue for Whitney Houston, but so was other.
Yeah,
there was a lot of other media there.
When it came to stuff like that, the other media was there. Like KTLA, your local news, so you could feel a little bit better. The hard stuff was when you were alone on something like this, or like I remember one morning, and if you got more questions, I'll stop. But like YG, some friends of his, there was like a murder or something at a house, and I had to go up there, and like I'm just up there in the Hollywood Hills trying to get footage to see if anyone's coming in and out. There's really no other media there, and people are coming out of the house yelling at me like, "Get the fuck out of here with your get the F out of here with your cameras," and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, guys, listen, I'm just here. Like, I got to cover it. And then they found my name online somehow. They're like, we know who you are, Dante Greco. Wow. And I was like, really? Whoa. So I called my supervisor. I said, hey, listen, this ain't the Real Housewives. Okay. Can you get me out of here? Like, what is this? They're now calling me by name. And these people are about to get arrested for murder. Yeah.
That's scary. Yeah, there was an element of danger there.
One guy came out like throwing punches and stuff. Like, so
one of the worst assignments that we had to cover for weeks was Lamar Odom's breakdown.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what was going on, but we had to work 12-hour shifts and you'd have to be in one. I don't know. I had to sit in my car for 12 hours covering Lamar Odom. It was crazy. Because
Yeah.
Lamar Odom was having a breakdown. That to me, and that was weeks. But also one of the worst assignments I ever had was just training new hires.
Yeah.
TMZ would hire these people and they didn't have cars. And they're like taking Ubers and they're late. And you're like, okay.
That is the worst assignment is you
Yeah.
got the new hire, and even if they have a car, the supervisor's like, put them in your car and drive them around and show them everything. So you're stuck with some person that you don't know at all day long. And like a lot of them didn't have great personalities. You know, there were so many guys who were let go during our tenure. There was really just like a select few that stayed.
And
that
there's
were
a
normal.
certain element that you're training your replacements.
Right.
You're basically giving them all your secrets, and they take a long time to procure. And there was an element of like, really?
Yeah.
You want me to tell them every single trick?
Yeah.
So you guys could replace me with someone for a standard, because it took us a long time to work up to a senior level. Dante and I, we were one of the few seniors.
They never made me a senior.
Oh,
Can you
really?
believe that?
That's unbelievable.
It's an outrage.
That's disgusting.
I am
You
disgusted
should have
still
been
to
a
this
senior.
day.
You should have been a senior. But let's see. Did Dante? Well, let's not. Dante never got assaulted. I don't think. Someone's asking if you ever got assaulted.
I mean, like other people, I got like, jostled around, pushed around a little bit, people shining flashlights in your face. But again, I always kept the perspective of like, look, I am technically encroaching on their territory to get this interview or whatever, if people are that upset. So even if I got pushed around a little bit, I didn't really try to like spark a fight because, it's just not my thing.
Have you ever been on assignment and missed the celebrity because you had to use the toilet?
Not that I told the office.
Hey, that's one thing about LA in general. Public restrooms are rare. It's very tough, especially, if you're in Beverly Hills, you have your spots, like shout out Mayborn Hotel, the hotel formerly known as the Montage.
Right.
But, that's why I like Malibu, because I had restrooms. But, it's tough to find a restroom sometimes. And the secret to it is you can't drink water. You can't. Because I wasn't one of those guys that could use a restroom. I can go number one in my car. There are some paparazzi, they do that.
Right.
I can't do that.
Guys,
did you ever do that?
No, God,
No.
I would never.
No.
I would just be like, look, what are you going to do? You miss. I mean, look, sometimes you just miss the shot because you miss it because you didn't get out of your car fast enough,
Right.
or because they popped out so quickly, or they popped out of an entrance that you weren't expecting. That type of stuff would happen all the time.
Yeah, it happens. It happened last night on our stream. You just miss people.
I heard about a guy that missed a shot because he decided to go look at an apartment that he was thinking of renting
Who's
during an assignment.
that? Was that?
I don't know if I should say his name because I don't know. He's not a public figure, but this was
Was
years
back in the
ago.
day?
This is back in the day.
'Cause I went. There was a guy that trained me, and he actually went apartment hunting on the job when he was training me.
Probably the same guy.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Shout out that dude.
Yeah.
Let's see. Someone said, "What's your proudest moment at TMZ?" Do you have a
Proudest moment.
proudest moment?
For a few years there, I had like a little thing going on with Al Pacino because he would go to Ebaldi in Beverly Hills multiple times a week. So I would see him, I was a big fan at one time, an aspiring actor. And, I wouldn't always go up and interview him. But when I did, I would do like an impression and I would try to like get his take on, and he actually gave me a thumbs up a couple times. He liked my impression of him. One time I gave him a fake award, a fake paparazzi award in Beverly Hills. I just went and bought a little, it was around Christmas time. I brought a little angel ornament from CVS and I gave it to him. And, he's an actor. He likes getting awards. So he started getting into it. And then he looked at it and he was like, "Oh, there's nothing on it." And he started to get a little sad. So, but that was fun. Oh, and then I guess I was told by Harvey that I had the best interview that he had seen in the entire 13 years of TMZ. It was with Bryan Singer, disgraced director of The Usual Suspects and X-Men and all that. And he came out of Mel's Diner on Sunset, and I got like a 5-minute interview with him. This was when he was fired from the Freddie Mercury movie. and I just answered asked every question and had the right follow-ups and everything. It was just like a perfect. I think it won a Pulitzer later on, and I got a call from Harvey saying like that was the best interview I've seen. It wasn't the biggest, but in terms of quality, that was it.
I'm not going to answer this question. Have you ever paid anyone for tips on celebrity locations? I can't really answer that. I don't think so. Who's the biggest celebrity Karen?
Oh,
I got mine comes right.
You go first.
Jamie Lee Curtis. I just never saw her in a decent mood. She was just walk to the coffee shop and just have a scowl on her face, and just never treated photographers or fans with any kind of dignity or respect. And she would snap at you. There's a certain way. If you don't want it, I understand. Just walk. Don't say anything. Relax. But the fact she would be very combative all the time. I can understand if it's once, but this was all the time. And I'm a huge Christopher Guest fan. Huge, massive. Her husband, she's married to Christopher Guest, the six-fingered man from Princess Bride, who's also a legendary SNL writer, and he did all the mockumentaries like Best in Show, Waiting for Guffman, A Mighty Wind, you name it. And I just think his work is extraordinary. And he's not very friendly either. And that's to me the biggest celebrity. Karen.
Who turned into a Karen was Lana Del Rey. When I first got her, when she first came out, she was cool. She was like, gave answers. And then a few years ago, I got her one Sunday morning and I just said, "Oh, Lana, I was curious." And she goes, "I don't give a what you're curious about."
Jeez.
And then she walked away. Like,
what happened to her? She used to be she almost dated one of our camera guys.
Yeah.
She almost dated Adam Glenn, the New York camera guy. Shout out Adam Glenn and the Hollywood Raw podcast.
And then I heard about a story, Dave Navarro, the guitarist for I forgot, but Dave Navarro.
He's the worst.
I heard he told a guy tried to interview him on Larchmont Boulevard one day.
Mike Jones.
And he goes, "How dare you? This is a sacred space. Get out of here." It's like Larchmont Boulevard. There's a sandwich spot here that's pretty good. Other than that, it's like any other street in America.
So
Larchmont.
I was training. And I was thinking about taking the job, but I was thinking about quitting that same day because it was kind of rough when you first do it.
I was thinking for 10 years.
Oh my gosh. Amen to that, Dante.
After the first month.
So yeah, and I was really just kind of I did what most grown men do. I was on day 4 of training with it was like Training Day too, right. The movie. And I did what most grown men, I was in my early 30s, but I did what most grown men do. And I called my mom. Mom, I don't know if this is going to work out. I know, I need a job, et cetera. And it's a good opportunity financially, but this is really tough. It's voyeuristic and, I feel like I'm bothering people. And she said, just do it for the 2 weeks and get the money and then decide at the end of 2 weeks. And I was like, all right, cool. So Dave Navarro was out in front of Equinox and he was smoking a cigarette literally right outside the gym. We're talking in the front, like you walked to Equinox, the healthiest place on the planet, but you had to walk through a gauntlet of smoke provided by the guitarist of Jane's Addiction.
Right.
So he's smoking a cigarette and he's got no muscle tone. He's got weird tattoos, bad tattoos, by the way, Dave Navarro. I'm sorry, brother. But I'm just like, what's going on here? For a rock star, get those, touched up,
please.
Anyway, so I go, "Hey, Dave, with all due respect, sir, I'm trying to get this job at TMZ, and do you mind if I interview you? I'm training, and I really, I've been out here struggling for 6 years in Hollywood, trying to, to make a living, And he said, "No one wants to see you, dude." And then I called my mom back. I said, "I can't do this, Mom." And my mom urged me to stay. And then the next week, I had the most incredible week. I interviewed Eric Estrada. Like that was one of my first greatest interviews. I was like, this is amazing. I'm an 80s kid. So I love Chips. It was one of the first shows I remember watching. Right. And he was the sweetest, kindest guy. And it was almost like he made a friendship. So I was like, okay, this job is fun. And I interviewed like Martin Sheen, Hollywood legends. And I was like, I actually had a great time that next week. Sally Kellerman, I interviewed her and I used to be in love with her when I was a kid, back to school. And rest in peace, Sally Kellerman. She was a beautiful, extraordinary actress. So I liked the old legends. You know, that was my thing.
I used to get Ernest Borgnine. Did I tell you this story?
No, you used to get Ernest Borgnine.
It's a little risque,
Okay,
but you know they aired it on national television. So
okay,
Borgnine from the Wild Bunch and from
Marty,
you know, if you're of a certain age, you know Ernest Borgnine,
legendary actor.
he used to be on Bedford, and that's where a lot of the medical buildings were. So like for years, like Michael Jackson used to get his pills there, and other people get plastic surgery. For years, Bedford in Beverly Hills, you could just sit there all day long, get like 10 shots. So Borgnine would come out, and like I'm trying to get something out of him, and I go, Ernest, you know, I saw this interview where you said that the secret to getting to such an old age, he was like 90, is that you masturbate a lot. And he goes, stop it. Come on. I'm like, no, I saw you talked about it on the show, on an interview. He's like, get out of here. I said, are you still doing it though? And he goes, you want to stay alive, don't you?
Oh my God. What a soundbite.
That was one of my old Hollywood.
That's
people.
a good one. That
was in the early days.
Wow. Yeah. And rest in peace to Borgnine.
Yeah.
I saw the late.
He must have stopped.
Yeah. That's a good one. And Dante, someone did earlier, but I want somebody asked if you were a comedian.
Failed
Comedian.
Failed, yes. But
I saw Kirk Douglas.
Oh yeah.
When he was 100 years old, being wheeled into a medical building on Bedford, and there was 45 paparazzos outside. I mean, yeah, Bedford used to be the spot. You sit there all day, and I mean, I saw everybody there.
I saw everybody. I got Jerry Lee Lewis once in Nashville, one of the originators of rock and roll. You know, he didn't talk, but I got him getting into a car. They used it as last time we saw him when he died on the bus. Yeah, that's right. Him and Lil Wayne. Who else?
Let's see. There's a lot. Someone's asking about Quentin Tarantino.
I have never seen him while at TMZ. I did see him one night walking alone on Sunset Boulevard with this blank stare in his face. Like he looked like Jack Nicholson in The Shining, just like walking up Sunset Boulevard alone at night. But I didn't try to talk to him. I heard that he's not that into it if you approach him with a camera.
I love the question that's pinned. We're going to get to the question that's pinned. I saw Tarantino once or twice when I used to work on Dancing with the Stars. I saw him. He was in the American Idol, because American Idol and Dancing with the Stars, there were two separate. They shared the same building.
Yeah.
And for some reason, he was at American Idol. But then I saw him again at a star ceremony, and it was Kurt Russell, his star.
Mm.
And because Kurt Russell was in Inglourious Bastards.
No, The Hateful Eight.
Yeah, Hateful Eight. And so I was struck by how tall he is. The dude's like 6'5".
Tarantino.
Yeah, he's like 6'4".
Yeah, no, he looks short.
Tall. He looks short. Yeah. But then there's that famous video at Sundance when a paparazzo approaches him and he's really upset. Watch that on YouTube. Just watch it. Look up YouTube.
Oh yeah, he comes outside and he's like, "What's going on here?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "We are just filming you." And he's like, "No, but what's going on here?"
Yeah, it's great. That is a great moment. I love that video. So they asked what our hobbies are outside of TMZ. I do like that question because, I personally, and I know Dante, we love life outside of this stuff,
Right.
I'll just go ahead and say a few. I love to be outside. I love cycling. I used to road cycle, but it's too dangerous. I don't want to be a statistic. Like road cycling is very dangerous.
Right.
Anywhere you are. Especially with distracted drivers. But I used to be a big road cyclist. Now I just like beach cruising. I just love being at the beach, love hanging out with my girlfriend, love kicking it with family. I'm a painter. I like to paint, and I like going to museums, and I like to study art. Those are a few things.
Yeah, I like museums. I like cultural stuff. I like going to movies, play guitar, playing basketball, spending time with my fiance and my dogs and family, going out, drinking.
Yeah. I used to
But
drink
like a
out-
nice like wine. Like I'm a wine guy. I'm not
Nice.
like a cocktail or I just
Yeah.
like a little wine at sunset.
little vino up in the Santa Ynez Valley, go to Solvang. We should do a sideways
That would
expedition.
be good. You should.
Yeah.
I'll go up there.
Yeah. It would be great. My girlfriend actually the other day, she said we should do a double date.
Let's go to the Getty.
We should go to the Getty. I went to the Huntington Gardens the other day. I actually streamed from the Huntington Library and Gardens.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. What's our time right now?
We are at an hour 19.
Okay, not too bad.
So yeah, we'll do a little bit more.
Do a
and
little
then-
bit longer. Thank you
more
guys
questions?
so much for
Yeah.
you guys are staying with us. And if you haven't already, please give Dante Greco Show a follow on TikTok.
It's
And
at the Dante Greco
if you're on
Show.
YouTube, subscribe to his show. It's fantastic. You guys
Yeah.
are really he stays up to date.
We've gotten some followers, so thank you everybody who's followed so far.
Let's go. Let's
It's
go. He's
fantastic.
up to $6.99. Let's get it. Everybody in here, please go over to Dante Greco, give him a follow. And even if you don't want to miss a moment, wait till the end. Make sure you guys
Yeah.
write it down. And we want to get him to go live. So let's do that. That's and we're going to be doing a lot more of these shows here at Shuki International Studios. And
That's
we're
right.
just, let's see what else we got here. What celebrities would call in their locations for exposure?
Shuki would call. No. God, I'm trying to think of someone.
Dependent on the
I'm trying to think of like if there's anyone I want to put on blast like that, or if I would keep them. Trying to think of someone who would like always call that was like, hey, listen, like Phoebe Price. Okay, no offense to Phoebe Price, wherever she is, if you've even heard of her. Apparently, she's big overseas, but there are certain celebrities who are paying paparazzi to come and film them and then sell their stuff to like the Daily Mail or to other publications. There's another girl, there's something Blanco that you'll see. Like there's these celebrities. If you're ever reading these websites and you're like, who is this? Why is there a story about them? They probably paid to have that story.
Yeah. I recall there's a lot, and if they're in the news for something negative or weird, it really is timely. It depends on timing. And so they might want to call paparazzo or an outlet so to kind of break open a story or to further it or to detract from rumors.
Yeah.
But I remember coming up on Jennifer Garner in Brentwood, or actually in Santa Monica on Main Street when I first started. So I see all these paparazzos hanging outside of her Range Rover. And I'm like, I peek inside. I'm like, that's Jennifer Garner, Ben Affleck's wife. What's going on here, Jen? So I start filming. She's picking the photos that she likes from the various photogs.
Oh,
She said,
wow.
I like that one. This one, delete. This one, delete. I like this one. So I had the inkling and I said, hey, Jennifer, how you doing? And she's like, oh, no, I'm not talking to you. I was like, what? You don't like TMZ? What's going on? But you talk to these guys. What's going on here? So I quickly learned that, she had her little group of photogs and then that she was working with.
Yeah. I mean, look, that's one thing about TMZ. They legitimately they followed journalistic ethical standards. Like a celebrity wasn't going to tell us, hey, I don't like that, can you delete that, or like, no, we're not doing. Like it's either you're going to answer the questions, we'll get an interview, or we're just not going to do it. We're not going to sit there and be like dictated to like what you can ask, what you can't ask. I mean, like, look, we would sometimes talk to people to try to butter them up a little bit.
At TMZ, we had to ask the toughest question.
But we had to do it. It was our requirement, and it's good because you could see the quality of stuff that they put out.
Any Paps rude to TMZ guys? Yes, I would say yes.
Yeah, I mean, especially early on, people would be annoyed when we would show up. But as the paparazzi numbers dwindled during our tenure, and there were only like a handful of guys left, a lot of them are doing photo anyway, and we only ever did video. So, and even then, some of the video guys started to understand that we actually asked good questions, newsworthy questions. So they would let us ask the questions, and then they would just film our interviews and sell them on the open market.
Yeah. I recall first hitting the scene, there'd be if you were new and they never saw you, you're going to get that school lunchroom vibe on the first day of school from like, you know, the cool table. It's like you're acting cool. Like why? Like I don't know. Like yeah, there's a lot of politics. And someone did mention that like TMZ, they asked about it. Like was TMZ cliquish? Like the actual working at TMZ, was it cliquish? It was the most cliquish place. It was insane how cliquish this place was. And in particular, we had our field team, the field guys. We all, you know,
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get to really know a lot of the people in the office because we were always out in the field. They were always in the office. So it's just like working in two different parts of a company that you just don't interact that much, except maybe at a holiday party.
well, and speaking of the holiday party, so my first holiday party, I wasn't allowed to go to the first one because I was new. So I had to work that night.
Yeah.
And it was on a boat. Did you go on that one? On the
That
cruise?
was right when I first started training.
Yeah.
Or like I was about to start training and I heard about it, but of course, like
You
I was
weren't
just a
able to go.
trainee. I wasn't going to get on that.
Yeah. So I remember one of the first, it was the one at the Mayan Theater. Do you remember that one?
Yes. Yeah.
The Mayan?
Downtown.
Yeah. And so I'm new. I'm like, okay, fairly new, maybe been there a year. And I'm like trying to interact with people in the office who we never saw because we were in the field. They talked about our videos on the show, but we only passed through the office and mostly after hours.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we didn't really interact with the round table discussion circle of you know, people on the show who are personalities. And this was at the height of TMZ's popularity. And so I'm trying to talk to, you know, to a few people, and they had no interest in really talking to me, you know. And I'll never forget that, guys. To the 3 or 4 of those TMZ people, I'll never forget that. And I'm not going to mention your names, but you guys, like, what? Like, okay, I'm a field guy. Like,
it was weird sometimes. Like I would walk in and even people that I knew and liked and talked to and like was friendly with, sometimes you go in and like no one even says hi. They just stare at you and then just keep walking.
Yeah,
Is everyone in a trance?
It was cliquish. It was cliquish. And the bonds I had mostly with people in the office was the tech department because they were the ones that were, you know, we dealt with them.
They would
the most.
when we had camera problems,
we had
we would go in there.
Camera issues and
you know, look, it was I get it. It's a stressful environment like any newsroom is because everyone's working on breaking the next big story. But
you know what they said? They have a point. They said that we got treated like that because we're both handsome.
Well, that's always been what I believed.
I think so.
There's
a certain element to that, but
pretty discrimination or something like that is what they call it now. Also, the thing was, we were the field guys, so we weren't even like supposed to be in there during the day because we were supposed to be in the fields either to get stuff or be on call when something broke. So sometimes you go in, they'd be like, "What are you doing here?" Like, get out. It's like, hey, I'm just dropping off my paperwork for the week or like whatever.
Now, someone asked, were you ever inclined to get autographs? And I like that question. And or selfies with celebrities.
I got a few selfies over the years, but I never really got the autographs because I wouldn't have known what to do with them. And the way I looked at it now, like in the last 10 years with social media and how much access we have to the celebrities, I wonder, like, is there even, I haven't looked into this, so I'm just speaking extemporaneously, but like, is there a big market still for autographs? Do people care? I don't know.
Yeah, I only got one autograph. It was from Dick Van Dyke because I wanted a memento of Dick Van Dyke, you know? So I bought from a autograph guy a picture, and then I had him sign it. That was it. And I have that framed at home, you know.
One other thing that happened years ago before TMZ or anything, I went to a Laker game, and then afterwards I went to In-N-Out, and one of the Lakers was at the In-N-Out. It was a guy named Jordan Farmar.
Oh, I remember Jordan Farmar.
Not very well known now, but like, you know, it was like 2006.
He's a legend.
And so I went, exactly, the legendary Jordan Farmar of Los Angeles Lakers. And I don't know why I did it because I don't normally do this, but I had my ticket and I went up and I asked him to sign it. And I walked away feeling so pathetic that I had asked Jordan Farmar to sign my ticket at In-N-Out that I think it swore me off autographs for the rest of my life. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it because like, who even knows who that is right now?
What are your background? What are your backgrounds before TMZ? That's a very important question.
Well, I went to Harvard. And
I thought you went to Pepperdine Law.
well, Oxford first,
Okay.
and then Harvard, and then Pepperdine at night.
Nice.
No, you
I
know,
love Dante's sense of humor.
as an aspiring
Oh,
actor,
man.
aspiring comedian, all that stuff. And then I was going to go back to school for journalism, broadcast journalism, when I got the job. And then it just was like the perfect kind of confluence of all this stuff: entertainment, news, talking, because we get to ask questions, we get to come up with it, we can be a little funny, we can be a little performative, and all of that kind of stuff. It just all came together in this one job. So then I stuck there for 10 years.
And Dante and I both have a long history with Hollywood.
Right.
Your family is very much.
They invented.
Yeah, you invented, but you have a long history in Hollywood.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who are in and around the periphery of Hollywood in my family. It's like, I grew up in LA, so it's in the blood.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, and I went to college. I got a master's degree in communication. I had my own show in college on the local, CAPS TV station, Pittsburgh State University, where Gary Busey also attended in Southeast Kansas. And then I worked on Prison Break. That was the first gig that I got was at Prison Break. I was Wentworth Miller's photo double and stand-in the entire season 1. It was like 20 episodes.
I would have been better for that. I kind of look more like Wentworth Miller.
Well, yeah, you do. And I didn't even have to shave my head or anything. But that was a phenomenal job. And then right before that, I was cast on Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest Part 2 as a featured background extra. I was supposed to be an Edinburgh trader on a boat. So I arrived down in the Bahamas, and then a hurricane happened, and literally right before filming. So I never got to live out that dream.
And then Orlando Bloom got that role, right?
Well, geez, yeah. I mean,
that you were gonna get.
That's a whole story for another day, pal. I'll tell you why that happened. But yeah, I mean, the night before I was hanging out drinking with the director, Gore Verbinski. I went and partied the whole night with Angelo Angelotti, who is Johnny Depp's stunt double. He looks exactly like Johnny Depp. And we were, I was very overzealous. I mean, not overzealous. I was very enthusiastic about Hollywood. But yeah, I mean, there was a long background there.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Who were some of the most random, like not celebrities, but like people who were just in the news for a brief period of time, just regular people who got a story, and then we would have to go cover them? Because we had to cover a lot of that type of stuff too, like the wacky. Like for me, I remember having to go to the Octo Mom's house when the Octo Mom thing broke. Remember the woman with 8 kids in her stomach? And like, I forget where she lived. It was very far away.
Whittier, La Habra.
Nadia Suleiman. We had to go out there to her house, and she was like, I don't know if I'm going to let you in. I was like, but we set this up ahead of time. What's going on? The weirdest was Shuki International. That was the oddest celebrity that I had to cover in my life.
You guys need to be a little bit fashion. Show the fashion. You know what I mean?
That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to start? Well, give us. We're gonna wrap. We'll wrap this up at 1:30.
Yeah. We're just past 1:30. So yeah, we'll start wrapping it up. We'll save that question for next time.
We'll save that. And I also did the Octomom question too. I went to her door and then she acted weird.
Yeah.
But she set it up.
Right.
And in La Habra, Nadia Suleiman. Shout out Octomom. But to piggyback off that, James Otis.
Who's
Remember
that?
James Otis.
Who's that?
He was the guy who smashed up Trump's star.
Oh,
and he was the
yeah.
heir to the elevator fortune, the Otis elevators.
Right.
I covered that.
I had to interview the guy who sued McDonald's because he didn't get enough ketchup packets and napkins.
All right. Well, I guess we're going to start our tour here.
Yeah. Do you want to take a break and then we'll relaunch or
we'll
what?
Take a break. We'll take a break.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dante Greco Show viewers. We're going to take a little break here and come back and show you around Shuki's store and have much more fun. But it's been a great time with my guest, Joe, the joy of everything on TikTok.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me, man. It's always a pleasure, and look forward to more frequent appearances on both platforms, because here we're doing a double duty here.
That's right. That's right. Here you can see, for the viewers, we have another camera set up.
All right, guys, we're gonna take a break, but want to thank you guys so much for staying tuned, and it's been a pleasure. And we'll be back soon. We're gonna do a little more.
Thank you,
some more
everybody,
content here
for
at,
having me, and appreciate the follows and all that. And it's great. A lot of fun. Thanks for the questions.
All right, guys. Peace.
One second here.
Have a good life. We will see you soon.
Much love.
Thank you.
Love.
All right, Dante.
So once again, thank you to my brother. Tell him your name again.
Dante Greco.
2 words. Made in America.
Dante, you're doing great.
That's good. I never anybody over in my life. It's from.
Listen, I want you to leave my good friend Ringo alone.
Pal, Hal.
Have a good day.